Another day, another overly sensational media headline, this one from the New York Post: this controversial breast cancer treatment increases your risk of dying by 400%. It does not get more sensational than that. Let's actually break down the headline and talk about the study that it is referencing. This is a study published in JAMA Network Open about a week ago, and the title of the paper is Use of Complementary and Alternative Medicine in the Management of Breast Cancer. They looked at over 2 million women with all stages of breast cancer and looked at 4 groups. The groups that did traditional therapies, the groups that did traditional therapy, so we're thinking surgery, chemotherapy, radiation, endocrine therapy, targeted therapy, you name it. So traditional therapy with complementary and alternative medicine, the group that did complementary and alternative medicine alone, and the group that did no treatment. Now, first of all, complementary and alternative medicines are a pretty broad category to group together, and that is how they're grouped, but I really have an issue with that because that includes physical therapy and acupuncture along with unproven and potentially harmful supplements that can cause organ damage. So putting those two together is a little bit misleading. Now, what they found was that the group that took complementary and alternative medicines alone without traditional therapy had a nearly 4 times higher risk of death compared to the group that did traditional therapy. Okay, that is what we were seeing in the headline, but here's the nuance. That impact on survival was very similar to the group that didn't have any treatment and didn't use complementary and alternative medicine, meaning that if you didn't pursue traditional therapy, you had a significantly worse impact on outcomes. This is not surprising because we know that treatments like surgery and radiation and chemotherapy and so forth save lives and improve cancer outcomes. So by saying the headline is that this controversial therapy increases your risk of death by 400%, yes, but so does not having any treatment. And we don't know what the complementary and alternative medicines were, which is a huge limitation to this study. Other part that's really important is that only a tiny amount of patients out of that 2 million actually had complementary and alternative medicines. Likely that's because patients, they can only capture what is in the medical record. And we know that patients are not always disclosing everything that they're taking, and it can be hard to capture that, and often it is not captured. So the number of people using complementary and alternative medicines is actually likely higher than what is reported in the study. So what are my takeaways from the study? Number 1, traditional therapy is important. Pursuing either complementary and alternative medicines or forgoing all treatment altogether leads to significant impact in outcomes. There is a role for complementary therapies, and if we're using alternative therapies, we have to ask, what is the data behind them? What is the evidence? What is the safety? Number 2, misinformation is rampant, and it is very rampant online, and it can lead people to pursue treatments that don't have any proven efficacy. So I do urge you to be careful about what you're using and ask those questions. And then number 3, if you want to deeper dive into this study, I have a substack on the paper in much more detail, and I'll link it in the comments. Let me know what you think.